Welcome back. You're watching Today. Now, as the price increases triggered by the avian flu start to bite, the South African Local Government Association is calling on the Finance Minister to temporarily lift VAT on poultry products. Salga says a 15% reduction in poultry product prices would safeguard vulnerable households against hunger. Thami Ntuli is the chairperson of Salga in KZN and joins us now from Richards Bay. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ntuli, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Now, it's quite a tall order that you're calling on from National Treasury as Salga. Have you actually approached them or structures within National Treasury to raise the idea of temporarily lifting the VAT on poultry products?
Yes, good afternoon to yourself and to the viewers, and thank you for having me. Well, as Salga in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we have indicated that due to the current bird flu strain, which has affected the prices of the poultry and poultry products, we will be lobbying the NCOP, the NEC for Salga and other provinces, so that we advocate for the same call that a 0% tax is implemented as a relief. Hence, you recall that this will be not of the first. It would be not happening for the first time, since previously on the sanitary towels, it was once implemented, and that a reduction in the tax will see the prices decreasing by 15%, enabling ordinary citizen of our country to have access to essential proteins, which they get from the chicken when they buy chicken meat. You know that when it comes to meat basket, 60% people, 60% of the meat basket is the poultry. It means the people of our country, poor and rich, they all rely on the healthy proteins that they get from the poultry products and also from the poultry itself. Even the eggs are quite very expensive. It impacts even in the subsistence farmers and the poor people. Hence, we are calling for the minister to consider a 0% tax that will afford the poor people to access essential proteins. And even for the local producers, they are stricken by this recent bird flu strains. It impacts them, as you know, that for the egg layers, almost 8.5 million have been affected. And you know, we are going to see the competition amongst the producers, especially from the imports, such as coming from Brazil and USA, in fact, suffocating the local one, which already has been struggling due to the fact that they are not that much funded when they produce in our countries compared to Brazil and USA, where they are funded by government. And for this new strain of the bird flu is going to hit hard also on the industry, on the local producers, especially ourselves as municipalities. We are affected when the household, they get more escalations on the prices that which in fact are meant to cause them to have access to the daily needs, because they end up being unable to pay for the services to the municipalities, and municipalities ultimately end up failing to pay for ESCOM debts and even water boards, because the people who are receiving services from municipalities are now having this burden, which is petrol fuel escalation, the issue of load shedding, and then now because of this bird flu, prices escalating, which put pressure to them not to afford to actually pay and honor their debts.
Yeah, I must ask you though, Mr. Ntuli, it is just a temporary solution to the problem, and things like bird flu and other disasters that could impact key industries can be recurring. So what would you then say would be a sustainable solution? Because temporarily even suspending the VAT has an impact, a negative one, on the country's revenue collection, overall fiscal growth and surplus in the budget that National Treasury would have to allocate. So with that in mind, what would a sustainable solution be to deal with issues of this nature, which are not going to be isolated and are likely to reoccur?
You know, if the local producers can be supported so that their business will grow, they will expand. I think despite the fact that now we are seized with the bird flu, but for production coming from within South Africa, to, in fact, not to be suffocated by the imports, there should be a meaningful support to the local producers, which will even assist in creating more job opportunities and will even, mitigate on a competition of the prices that ultimately will end up affecting even us as a local government. Hence, we are making a call. I know that government is doing a lot to try and contain this flu, so that it will not destroy the poultry production. But we are of the view that there is a lot that ought to be done in order to ensure that the local producers they are able to compete with the dozens and dozens of the chickens which are dumped into our country from other countries.
Yeah, and I suppose that is something that the Department of not international trade, rather, but trade and industry and competition would have to look at closely at some stage in finding a sustainable solution. Is the cheap imports of chicken that South Africa gets and the tariffs that are charged on them and the impact that it's had on local producers for a number of years now. Do you think that conversation is likely to happen perhaps in the medium term to offer some relief for local producers, as you've just indicated?
Well, Salga in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, as I've indicated prior, that our intention is to continue lobbying for a dialogue, the NCOP, NEC and other Salga structures in other provinces, so that we find ourselves starting a dialogue, an important dialogue that might give a relief to the ordinary citizen. It is not of the first of its kind that we come up with such proposals, and we have in the past. And we did see the positive response. Hence, we are also of the view that for this, it needs to be given agency, and we hope for the positive response.
Thank you very much for that update. And of course, we'll continue to engage you as you get updates on those engagements with the National Council of Provinces and other related stakeholders. That is Salga KZN chairperson Thami Ntuli calling for National Treasury to suspend temporarily the VAT that is charged on poultry products. That is 15% currently, and bringing that down to zero for the interim while we deal with the bird flu that has had an impact on egg prices.